Okay, you guys, welcome back to Channel Claire. Now, as you see by the title, now this is a video I never thought I'd see myself making, but because I was scrolling at work, it was like 10 minutes left on my job, and I was just on like MSN, because that's like the only site acceptable for you to go on at work, and I wasn't about to do anything else, so I was on like the little news page and whatnot, and I look and I see a story about Sherri Papini. Now, if you watch true crime videos, if you're in that sphere at all, like you've heard of the Sherri Papini disappearance. If you haven't, brief backstory is that Sherri Papini was, this is back in 2016, yeah, she went missing. And I say missing because, as you can see by the title, she is now being called a fraud and was arrested today. So back in 2016, apparently, her husband went to work, took the kids, dropped them off at daycare, school, whatever. Sherri, stay-at-home mom, decided she was going to go out for a run. Great, beautiful. So she goes out for her run. Next thing you know, she spoke to her husband before she went on her run and whatnot, asked if he was coming home for lunch. He said no. So she goes on her run, and that's the last time she was seen. So, her husband gets home from work, he sees Sherri's not there, the kid's not there, he's like, what the fuck is going on? He decides to go and find my iPhone, finds Sherri's phone by the mailbox, like their mailbox is like a mile away from their house. Finds her phone and her earbuds, like your little headphones, like if you're running, you have your earbuds on, like that's normal. Finds them by the mailbox, like tangled up, and there's hair tangled up in him, like it was like ripped off of her or something like that, so he gets really scared, and he calls the police. So obviously this whole investigation is going on to find Sherri Papini because she is missing. Days go by, weeks go by, what have you. 22 days later, Sherri Papini is found by this lady named Allison. She's driving with her daughter, like at 4 in the morning, and she's driving with her daughter and she sees Sherri Papini like running down the road, little clothes on, dirty, disheveled, like very, very frantic. Obviously she's like put off. It was like, okay, this could be a trap or something like this, and like what the fuck. So basically she's like, I think that she's in trouble, but I'm not about to stop and put me and my daughter in danger. So she pulls over, calls the police. Police gets there, it's Sherri Papini. She's found 22 days later, like after all these searches, investigations, like all this shit is going on. She's found to have bruises all on her, like she's 15 pounds lighter, like her hair is cut off, she has a brand on her shoulder, like all this shit, okay? Like you can see that like on her neck and her arms, like she had been bound, she was found with a chain on her, like all this, like it really looked like she had been kidnapped. So although we see all of this and what's going on, it took about a few months for Sherri to actually tell people like what happened. And during this time, people were speculating, like they weren't really believing her story. So there's all these speculations about like how she left or like how all this happened. Was it a hoax? Was this a plan with her and her husband to like get money and stuff like that? Because he created a GoFundMe, all this shit. So it turns out, that they did investigations. Like it also found like she, like when they did like her body scan or whatever, they do your investigation, they have to investigate her body and stuff. She had DNA on her from a female and a male. Now her story says that she was kidnapped by two Hispanic women, and apparently they let her go, all right? Apparently it was a situation where they kept her for 2 days, beat her, tortured her, cut her hair, did all this, and then let her go. She said it was a situation where she heard the two of them arguing. Next thing you know, she hears a gunshot. The other lady comes, grabs her, puts her in the car, and drops her off, and that's where she gets found by the Allison lady. So, like, first of all these, like, investigators are saying that doesn't really make sense because, first of all, two women torturing, kidnapping, not usual, and then you do all of that for 22 days and you just let them go. Doesn't make sense. And then also her having the male DNA on her when she said that she was kidnapped by two women. And then also I think it was that she had like a texting relationship with some guy previously, like while she's a married woman, but she was texting this guy that she's known for years, like on this side, like having a little texting relationship, and they had been talking right up until a little bit before she disappeared. So, like, they've been very much on the low, but, like, all these speculations have been surrounding it. Like, people haven't felt like that it was correct. Like, there was just always a speculation. I remember watching Kendall Ray's video last year, feeling, when I, like, went away from the video, I was like, I don't know about this. I just felt like there were some things that just didn't add up. I really did. So to be on my computer this evening and go and see this article that I'm about to share with you, saying that pretty much Sherri Papini is a fraud and she made all of this up. So mind you, this happened in 2016. Sherri is now 39 and was arrested today, charged with making false statements to a federal law enforcement officer and mail fraud. Just like what? So they must have been, like, these investigators must have been, like, working in the background trying to, like, figure out what the hell was going on, because I forget that there was, like, one part, the guy that she had been texting on the side, apparently he had a search warrant done on his home, but, like, it really wasn't revealed what came of that. So I'm wondering, like, let me read more in here. So she was arrested Thursday. So she was arrested yesterday, not today, because today is Friday. She was kidnapped in broad daylight. Countless hours were spent following leads, trying to find her. Ultimately, the investigation revealed there was no kidnapping and that time and resources that could have been used to investigate an actual crime, protect the community, and provide resources to victims were wasted on the defendant's conduct. So they're saying this was all made up. Like, this is crazy. And then it kind of goes on saying how her husband, like I just told you, reported her missing, and that it was the two Hispanic women, and like, and then they say Papini was staying here's the juice. Here's the fucking juice. Based on her account, police searched for two Hispanic women matching Papini's description, but investigators ultimately found Papini had made it up. According to prosecutors, they say Papini was voluntarily with an ex-boyfriend during her alleged disappearance and had caused her own injuries to support her lies. That is madness. Get a fucking divorce. Like, if you no longer want to be in your life, if you no longer, like, if you're just fucking done, just say, I'm fucking done. You're gonna be this elaborate to make a scheme, and, like, she had bruises. They're saying, like, literally when she was found, she had, like, a brand that was, like, scabbed over. She had bruises all over her body, and not just like fresh bruises, they were like layered bruises, like bruises that had been there, healed, and then like someone beat her again. She was like, her hair was cut, like she was in a rough state. So she did all that shit to herself. I want to know where the fuck Keith is, her husband. I want to know what he's thinking, what has been going on with him while all this has been going on in the background, because I haven't really heard anything about this since, like, I saw that video from Kendall a year ago, and now all of a sudden this is popping up. I'm like, what is going on with the husband? Like, was he involved? But they're saying that she was voluntarily at an ex's house. So I guess they were cohorts in this whole shit. Like, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It says here, she was presented with evidence that shows she had not been abducted. Instead of retracting her kidnapping story, Papini continued to make false statements about her perpetrated abductors. So even when faced with the evidence, whatever this evidence it was, she's still like, I was kidnapped. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I was kidnapped. Like, she's probably going to try to take this to her grave, because do you know how bad that looks? Like, you are deranged. Like, you're fucking deranged. And mind you, this woman has kids. Like, you left your kids off this bullshit? Like, you left... It proceeds to say, additionally, Papini received about 35 payments totaling more than $30,000 from California Victims Compensation Board. The money covered expenses including visits to her therapist and an ambulance that took her to the hospital after she re-emerged. So you're getting this money, the GoFundMe that your husband put up, that apparently was spent to, you know, rehabilitate Sherri and like her therapy and like her mental and physical well-being. And then you were getting money from California Victims Compensation, while all the time none of this took place, and she knew that she had made this all up. How does one live with such fucked up, like, complicated shit, and like just have that in their heart and on their mind daily, like to know that like I made up this whole elaborate story. I left my husband, I left my kids, I like literally bruised and branded myself, all for what? All for what? Because ultimately she came back. Like, did she change her mind? Like, I'm gonna keep following this because this just isn't enough details for me. But it does say that Papini faces up to 5 years in prison and a fine of $250,000 if convicted for making these false statements, and a maximum 20 years in prison and a fine of up to $250,000 for the mail fraud. So Sherri Papini is being convicted as a fucking fraud, and that means that they have the evidence. That means that they have everything that they needed to convict her and charge her with being a fucking fraud and making up her own fucking kidnapping. Who does that? People are so crazy. Like, I think about it every day. I'm just like, do people really honestly think they're gonna get away with this shit? I mean, in theory, some people do get away with really, really wild shit. But like something like this, you really thought you were gonna get away with it? And right when it happened, and back in 2016, because remember she was like disappeared for 22 days, they found male and female DNA on her. So back then they knew some shit wasn't right, and it took them all this time and all these years. So you know that they were building a solid, rock solid case. It took them all this time, and now she was arrested yesterday and she's being convicted for being a fucking fraud. So I just thought that was very interesting. I did not expect to come through like past that today while I was looking online at the end of my day. I'm so happy that it's Friday. But yeah, I just thought that was really interesting, and I'm gonna keep up. Like, I want to see what happened. I want more information. I want to know what Keith, her husband, has been doing, what he thinks, what is going on with him. Were they even together during all those times? Like between when she came back and like now, were they together? I have to look that up. But yeah, this was very interesting. I hope that you guys have a lovely rest of your Friday, wherever you may be. Let me know your thoughts on this weird story with Sherri Papini. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Think about liking, think about subscribing. It would absolutely make my day. But I will see you guys in another video. Oh, but this is a treat. I almost forgot. I got my little baby for my house finally. She's this pretty sherbet color. This beautiful little bowl. So fucking cute. So cute. I absolutely love her. She's been christened already. But this is our house piece, and she is going to be loved and enjoyed rightfully because she's fucking beautiful. But yes, that's it for today, you guys. I'll see you in another video, and goodbye.